What is good, Tsla family? It's Ray J back with another video, and in this one, I'm going to break down what's going on with the overall market and some very important levels to be watching for. I'm also going to talk about some things that Jerome Powell said that are very, very important, and give you guys a very important warning about the market before the market closes going into tomorrow. Now, before I break anything down about all this information, before I talk about what's going on with Tesla SPY and the QQQ and some important levels and the news that just came out, I do have to mention a couple of things before starting. Firstly, I am not a financial planner. Make sure you take none of this as financial advice. And don't forget about the Moomoo link. The offer ends very soon. Deposit $100 and you're guaranteed 5 free stocks with a $100 cash reward. The offer ends in just 2 days. Check it out before they run out. With that out of the way, let's get on with the video. Anyways, when it comes to the markets, Tesla's actually green up about 1.6% as of right now, but the market is showing a little bit of weakness as SPY is red, and we are seeing some stocks starting to sell off because of Jerome Powell, at least at the time I'm recording this. So I'm going to break down what Powell said, just a couple of things, then talk about some news involving Tesla. Actually, let's first talk about Tesla. Some very good news came out in the morning. That's why Tesla was pumping and outperforming the market. Tesla is set to deliver a new record in China. We're expecting about 155,000 deliveries or something like that, according to an analyst with the Chinese Merchants Bank International Securities. That's once again some very bullish news. That's going to be up 13% from the previous quarter. And then we have Deutsche Bank and other big analysts coming out and calculating that Tesla should do over 441,000 deliveries for Q2, according to Troy. But another analyst, and once again, it was Deutsche Bank that actually said this, they're saying that Tesla should be doing over 448,000 deliveries instead. So this was close to what my target was for the time being, but I mentioned it could be a lot higher if you account for other countries and other things like that. So I will talk more about this on Saturday, what my target is for Tesla. But for now, just know that Deutsche Bank and many other analysts are expecting 448,000 deliveries, which is very, very bullish. And production is expected to surpass over 470,000, which is once again quite bullish. So this is looking very good for Tesla. This is why Tesla's outperforming the market. This is why Tesla's holding up quite nicely. But the real question is, how will Tesla perform moving forward? First, let's talk about Jerome Powell. As I mentioned in the morning, Powell was going to be speaking at 9:30 a.m., and Powell did speak at the ECB, at the Economic Forum, with many other central bankers. And Powell said a lot of hawkish things once again. No surprise there. If you watched my previous video, you would have had a nice warning about this. So Powell said at the ECB that he does not see us getting back to 2% inflation in 2023 or 2024. He's saying it's going to take a long time and the Fed has to remain restrictive for an extended period of time. He also said that inflation is not coming down as swiftly as anticipated, but it will take time for service sector inflation to move lower. Powell said, and I quote, "The bottom line is that policy hasn't been restrictive enough for long enough to see those effects." So basically, for the people out there that are questioning this, like this person right here, like Jason Furman, they're saying they don't really understand his claim that policy hasn't been restrictive for long enough. The truth is, I mean, there is truth behind what Powell is saying, and he is technically correct. I say that because you have to consider that we were in a state of quantitative easing for many, many years, right? We had very low interest rates for many, many years for such a long time, and the Fed just barely started raising rates very recently. So, as many economists have found, it may take many months, it could take over a year for the rate hikes to start affecting the economy, sometimes even longer than that. With all the liquidity injected into the system and all the easing that was going on, it's no surprise it's taking a while to see the real effects of these rate hikes, but we're starting to see more effects of them, such as when you look at the unemployment rate, it's starting to go up. It was up like 0.3% the last time it came out, and it may continue on this trend moving forward. It most definitely will, and the Fed is forced to continue this trend as long as inflation is hot. So Powell said also that there are going to be most likely 2 more rate hikes. There's a lot of work to be done, and he was being very hawkish, or a lot more on the hawkish side compared to before. Now, if you don't think that's bad enough, I want to inform everyone and remind you all that Powell is going to be speaking again either today or tomorrow, depending on where you are on the planet. Powell is going to be speaking at about 11:30 p.m. if you're on the Pacific Coast, on the West Coast, and if you're on the East Coast, he's going to be speaking at 2:30 a.m. Okay, for Thursday morning. So what he says may affect how the market opens. I don't know exactly what he's going to say at the nighttime. I don't know what he's going to say exactly, but I do believe the odds favor him being hawkish once again, as the guy just continues to be hawkish over and over again. Now, this is very important, so please, please, please watch this carefully. And I want to let you guys know that when the market closes, the market's going to be closed, then Powell's going to speak, and then the market's going to open. Who knows what's going to happen? Maybe he could cause the market to gap down, maybe not. Maybe the market sells off. Who knows? We don't truly know. Maybe the market starts to rip up. So be very careful if you're not comfortable holding too many like options overnight, or like very short term positions on SPY or the QQQ, for example, or like futures or something like that. If you're not comfortable with that, then it's your own risk. So be very careful. And I just want to let you guys know this, okay? So be careful. Anyways, now let's talk about some important levels to look out for on Tesla and SPY. Tesla got a nice pump and actually bounced off the 50 EMA on the 30 minutes time frame. So this yellow line right here, it went all the way up to about this 260 area. You can see Tesla got a nice pump all the way up to this 260 area, got rejected off resistance, came down, tried to hold support right here around this 255 level. Then it broke down to the next support, which is around 254.25. You can see Tesla's holding these levels very nicely, very closely, if anything. If Tesla breaks down more, just hypothetically, because once again, Powell did cause some fear, just watch the 200 EMA on the 30 minutes time frame with extended hours on. That's going to take Tesla down to 252.85 at the 200 EMA. That's what you're going to be watching. Then we have the 252.5 area as well. If all of those break, if it breaks below these supports, watch 250, the entire zone right there. The 50 EMA is going to be at 250.73, but 250 exactly is going to be the main zone to watch. If that breaks, it's going to fall all the way down to 247.5 or even lower than that. However, Tesla has lots of relative strength. It's holding up as SPY is red, and the QQQ is being held up by SPY and Apple and many other tickers, which are still showing some relative strength. So it's unlikely Tesla's going to drop that low. I don't really see it happening, but I'm always going to be safe just in case. Now, if Tesla tries to push to the upside, watch resistance at this 255 range. We're currently at 254.8 at the time I'm recording this. If it breaks above that, watch 257.75. And if it gets above that, this like 258 zone, then you're going to be watching this 260 area, then 262.5. Now, what do I think is going to happen? Well, I think Tesla's going to remain very sideways for the remainder of the day. It's not really doing a whole lot. The market may just continue to trade sideways for the next couple of hours. Could we try to pump in one direction? It's a possibility, but I'm just going to be careful because Powell did say some things the market doesn't like, and we're just going to watch support and resistance in real time. It's not looking that great for the time being, and we'll see what happens tomorrow, and especially going into Friday. Now, despite this volatility, but despite the sideways action on Tesla, I still believe Tesla is going to pump on Friday, at least by Friday, as we approach the last trading day before deliveries. Deliveries are going to be coming out for Q2 on over the weekend, I believe on Sunday. So that's going to be important, and Tesla's going to make a big move after that. In anticipation of deliveries, Tesla's most likely going to pump thanks to FOMO, lots of hype, lots of buyers coming in, and lots of positive expectations. So Tesla's going to likely pump well above the 260s, in my opinion, probably approach 270. But before Friday close, in my honest opinion. And I think there's a good chance it's going to happen still. Now, before it happens, things could slow down because of Powell. So I just want to warn you about that. But after that, I still think Tesla has a lot of potential. Now, to add on to this, we're going to talk about SPY. I'm going to go kind of fast about these. If SPY tries to turn bullish, you're going to be watching resistance around the 436 area, 436.25 to 436.6, where has a lot of resistance. You could see how this thing was getting rejected in the zone for quite a while. They had one false break before it came right back down. And this was kind of like a fake out move. And then on top of that, if it breaks above these highs it made, it has the potential to get very close to this like 438 area. If it breaks that, there's an unfilled gap at 439. So there's a good chance SPY is going to pump again, but not a guarantee right now because of Jerome Powell. We don't know what he's going to say later on, so just be very careful. If it breaks down, we have two major support zones. We have the 30-minute 50 EMA just under 435, and below that we have 434.71 being the 200 EMA. So watch these all very carefully on the 30 minutes time frame. If it breaks below that, you're going to be watching 434 flat. Then we have 433 as the next major support. If that breaks, it's going to fall to the lower 430s in my opinion. But for now, it's nowhere near 433. It's still trying to hold these EMAs very nicely, and there's a good chance it's going to try to do so as time goes on. So watch the 15 to 200 EMAs as support. You can see how this is holding this thing up so far on the 30 minutes time frame. And then watch these resistance zones as the day goes on. Be prepared for Jerome Powell to speak once again late at night, either today or tomorrow, depending on where you are on the planet. And please be ready for all of that. For the triple Q, this thing just barely turned a little bit red, but it's still very, very flat. It still has some strength overall. It's not looking too bad. You can notice that this thing pumped up and broke above this resistance. And look at how it's holding above this, or how it was holding above this. This 364.69 area was acting as support quite nicely, or very close to that area. The next important level would have been 366. And you could see how it was just going back and forth between this for a couple of hours. And the high it made was at 366.5. So very close to the resistance we talked about yesterday. As it broke down, look at the support. It actually held right where these EMAs are. Hopefully, you guys can see this. Both the 50 and the 200 almost next to each other. The 50 is at about like 362.69. The 200 EMA is at 362.63. So basically, the mid 362s around that area is where it's trying to hold up. If it breaks below the EMAs, which is kind of unlikely, but just a possibility, you're going to be watching 361.37 and potentially 360. If it holds above 363, though, this is the support that's holding it, this 363 zone and 362.5, which is where the EMAs are. If it holds above these and tries to push up, watch resistance around the mid 364s, or specifically around 364.69, around that area, very close to that. If it breaks above that and holds very nicely, it has potential to push up to 366 again for another retest of this high. Break that, then this thing could go to 368 and potentially 370. But for now, it's very choppy, very, very sideways. It is being held up thanks to like Apple and Tesla. Apple's looking pretty strong too, breaking all-time highs again. It actually came very close to 190, the next resistance zone. So once again, besides all of that, the market's still doing all right. It's not really tanking. It's not really pumping very hard, kind of sideways. So just watch it carefully and watch these levels on Tesla. And don't forget my warning for everyone. Powell is going to be speaking again tonight, okay? Or tomorrow morning, depending on where you are. Be ready for this. Be prepared. Do what you have to do and do what's very important for your risk management. All right, so thank you for listening. Have a good one, everyone. Market to the moon is the long term is very bright, and I'll see you guys very soon in the next video. Tesla to the moon is the long term is very bright, and peace out.